Just give a brief about, with a warm welcome to you all. I am a homeopathic doctor, been practicing for last 25 years and I'm currently practicing in Lokanavala, Andheri, and I'm a new life educator, bringing in completely a new understanding to what is. Yeah, and I'm an integrative wellness facilitator, a counselor, and a health psychologist, and a relationship wellness counselor. I see clients from all backgrounds, all ages, and basically majorly into relationship management and also into disease, healing diseases, mostly most of these incurable diseases, anxiety related, stress related, PTSDs. So a lot of cases of diseases, even the incurable ones. So that is what I generally take up. Yeah. And today, healing the relationship with your parents, understanding breakdowns and healing relationships. So this is the basic theme of the webinar today. This is something that has been there on my mind for a long time, and I have been intending to put it across, but just was because this is the crux of the work that I do, and I found lots of transformation in lots of people across the world, and this has and it is like there could be some people on this group also who might or would like to share their experience here, and I would be really glad if you could share those experiences. Yeah, and do you? So if you are feeling somewhere like that, just put yes on the chat. Do you feel stuck in life, or you have painful relationship patterns? And you could just write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, yeah, or you can write just all. Yeah, some people are there who could have all. So do you feel stuck in your life? Do you feel that you have painful relationship patterns, breakdowns? Yes, just write A, B, C, D. You are struggling in business, finance. Do you have addictions of smoking, alcohol, gambling, drugs, substance abuse? Or you have had it? Anger, rage, violence, depression. You procrastinate, or you're unable to get things done, or you are starting off things, but they just break down towards the end. It means you're not getting the right kind of outcome of the results. You have fear of authority. You feel weak, powerless, loss of voice, cannot stand up for yourself. You are unable to succeed despite of all efforts. So just keep writing down, all of you, just keep, it's there in front of you. So you can just choose procrastinate, unable to get things done, okay. And painful relationships, very good, very good. Very good is because you are acknowledging, huh? Not because it's good, you are having it. No, I don't mean that. And struggling in business and finance, yes, very good. Anger, rage, violence, depression, and just be authentic. Yeah, just be straight about it. Yeah, no one is going to judge you. It's perfectly okay. They feel stuck in life. Yes, that's good. That's good. And procrastinate and unable to get things done. Okay. And there is fear of authority, feel weak, powerless, loss of voice, cannot stand up for self. And you're unable to succeed despite all efforts. I'll just give another 15-20 seconds. Anyone who wants to can keep typing in. Yes. Take your time. It could be more than one. Yes, very good, very good. That's very good, Shani. 5 of them. Yes, very good, Sarda. Very good. Yes, yeah. The more you acknowledge, the better it gets. Remember this. That's the first step to any kind of change that you want in your life. If you want any kind of change in your life, you got to start acknowledging. And that is what I teach everyone in my clinic or to my students. That first step is acknowledgement. A, B, C, D, E, F, G रह गया. Okay, I got that. That's a good one. Okay, Sophia, very good. Yes. Okay, Nandini. Yes, great. So let's move ahead. Keep adding. Yeah, keep adding. Yes, 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 yes. Very good. Keep adding. So now let's understand this. I've just made this and makes a lot of sense to me. I've drawn this circle. Yeah. So how does life happen? So remember, as we are growing or as we are born, there is something happening in our life. Let's call it an event. Now that event can be anything. That event can be when you are just a small child, you are a newborn, and you are feeling hungry, and you are screaming, crying, and no one comes in at that moment. That could be an event. Or you're going to school. Yeah, it's the first day of school, and you're being dragged, and you're so scared that you're going into a new environment, and you don't know what's going to be there, and the child is very, very scared. Or some dog chased you. Or as you were growing up, you got beaten up because someone in your family or outside did not like the kind of behavior. Yeah, because you were crying, you were screaming, or they call it the stubbornness, or something happened as you were growing. You were just 2 years old, or you went to school, and in that school, someone teased you, or you were up there on the stage and you could not speak out the poetry that you were supposed to recite, and suddenly you feel so embarrassed, or you got 1 mark less or 10 marks less than expected by your parent or parents, and there was fireworks in the house, or you see your parents fighting, or you were in your mother's womb and something happened to the mother which was very stressful, or you were growing up and something happened in your now life. Anything. Yeah. So as you grow up with your parents, something or the other happened. Now let's call it the event. And just sharing, and then we okay, thanks. That was good. That was good. Thank you. So now, and that event, because for that small child who's just a newborn, for the child, the mother not coming on time can be a threat to survival, and that can be traumatic. Or the child, for not getting the marks of for being stubborn, is closed in the bathroom or is beaten up by the parent, or is something like being dragged to the school, and the child is so insecure that I don't know whether my parents will come to take me or no, or I don't know what kind of people I'm going to meet. It's a very new environment. So anything of that sort can be a traumatic event. Now, in that traumatic event, the child is very unconsciously making a decision. Very unconsciously making a decision because the child doesn't know. Yeah, this is an unconscious decision. Remember this, that something is very wrong over here. Something is very bad over here. Something is very threatening over here. Something is very painful over here. And from that decision, the child grows up into the kind of person that we are today, but that decision runs the child's life. That decision is running the child's life. And from that decision comes out behaviors. From that decision comes out our behaviors. And for behaviors, we have consequences. For the behaviors, we have consequences. There's a price to be paid. So there is an event, That event can be traumatic. Now that trauma is again depending upon the child's perception, sensitivity, vulnerability. So one child may get affected, other may not in the same house. And from that, the child is taking a decision. There are behaviors and then there are consequences to that. What is happening or what I just spoke about, this thing, this is nothing else but the consequence of it. Mostly people see this as the problem. And that is why they are trying to fix it. But it doesn't work because these are just the end result of the problem. And if you try to work on the end result of the problem, you don't gather much. You cannot change it. But most of the times people are working on this. It is almost like the person has got a sickness or the liver is, or the person has a liver problem or a thyroid, and they are giving medicines for the thyroid or the liver. And that is why you got to take medicines lifelong. That is the consequence or the end result of a lifestyle or the experience or the threat or the traumatic experience that the person is going through. That's why the diseases need medicines for the longest period, but that's not the real problem. And that's why they never get healed or treated. Yeah. So remember this. And now going into a very quick understanding of why do we do whatever we do. And we are going to talk about something what we call as a consequence, something we call as a script. Yeah. So what is a script? Yeah. So what is a script? A script is an unconsciously written life plan which you are following throughout your life. It's an unconsciously written life plan, right? It's outside your awareness, right? And your decisions are taken from there. And then you have certain behaviors. And very unconsciously, you live out that life, that script. For example, we know the story of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is a character in Mahabharata, right? And his father, Arjuna, the greatest archer in the world, he is telling his wife when she's pregnant of him that how to get into the Chakravyuh, that is the death trap. And no one knows how to get in and get out. So that's kind of the arrangement that in the war, if you have a Chakravyuh, you can't get in. And once you get in, you cannot get out. And they also get in as if they're being pulled in into the Chakravyuh. But getting out is not possible. Only his teacher and he knew how to do it. And as he was telling his wife how to get in, she goes off to sleep, and then how to come out is not said. Now, we know the story afterwards, some 16 or 19 years later, in the war of Mahabharata, when the father and the uncles are moved away from the area of war, from the battle site, that time Abhimanyu enters the Chakravyuh, but he doesn't know how to get out and he gets killed over it. So that is how much we live out our scripts. That is why I also mentioned in the mother's womb. And I have a lot of cases of people who are, when we trace them back during therapy, they go back to the time when it was like the mother was going through some stressful period and the child has picked up that stress and she is leaving out that stress. And once we worked upon that stress, because the experience of stress is still in the body, you don't need to go back into the pregnancy physically, but just in the mind. And once you release that stress, the person is back to normal and a lot of things start changing for the person, right? So this is just one. And now just looking at the script, why do we have such a script? Though it can be destructive. So it's not necessary that all the scripts are destructive. There can be good scripts also. But many of us write unconsciously very negative scripts. And even though we try to break it, and even though we try to get out of that, and even though we try to fix it, somehow we are not able to, because they are so unconscious. And remember, the unconscious is 30,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind. And most of the times, even when we are going in for counseling, or even we are taking support from a friend, or even if we are thinking how to get out, we are only doing some conscious work. But we are dealing with something that is subconscious, which is 30,000 times more powerful. So that is why we end up with the same issue again and again, again and again, again and again, for years together, for decades, many a times, even just like even we go to the grave with that issue. Just check many of us. So if you are someone who's struggling with one issue for the longest period, just put yes on the chat box, or whatever I said. If it makes sense to you, your life or your relative's life or someone in your family, just put yes on the chat box. This makes sense, or just write sense. Yeah. So this is what is the script. We have written that script very unconsciously. And why do we write such a script? It would be very surprising for you to know that we write the script. Anyone like to answer this? Chat, put it on the chat box. Why do we write such a script?
Dr. Naidu, can we please request you to repeat the question?
Why do we write such a destructive script or a painful script? We enjoy the trauma and the drama. That is a consequence. To learn certain experience, that is what you have learned from some places here. But that's again a theory. I get it, that's so true. Yeah, but that's again going away. Why do we write the script? I get it that that's the pathway to learn the lesson. Fear of losing out for survival, to get away. Very good, very good, very good. By the way, you will be some victim card. Okay. We believe this is how things should be. Yes, I agree. Because the experience we have faced in our childhood. Yes, patterns, because it is our comfort zone. Agreed, agreed. But why do we write the script? Okay, when possible, please increase the volume of the mic. The person who spoke sounded so clear. Okay, who's okay? Okay, I will do something then. If you think it's not, is this not clear enough?
It's clear. It's clear.
Okay.
It's very
Clear
clear.
for me.
Speaker of your side, Sunny. Please check the speaker on your side. Yeah. Yeah, we presume there is an okay. It's too small to presume, Anna. It resonates with us. Okay. Okay, let me tell you. Very simple, very surprising. It's so simple, but it is for getting approval and attention from your parents. We do it. We write this kind of scripts, whether it's good or bad, and even if it's horrible, it's like a death script. We write it to get attention and approval from our parents. Now remember, this is written right in childhood, and for the child, the world is about the parents getting love, getting attention, getting approval from the parents. And the child will go to any length to have this. And this child is alive in us throughout life. And it is that child which made that unconscious decision who's living out that life most of the times, especially during times of stress. Now remember, the child has written that. Why is it creating so much of problems for us? Very simple. Because the child, when the child is small, like when I am small, when you are small, do we have so many options? What kind of state we are coming from? We are coming from a state of powerlessness and helplessness. We are coming from a state of lack of information and options. We are coming from a state of immaturity of thinking, of processing. We are coming from fear. So this is that child who's immature, who feels incapable, who feels weak, helpless. That is the child who's making the decision. And that child continues to fulfill on the decision that has been written, because for the child, it becomes a perception that this is how my parents are, this is how the world is. Now this spreads out into the world. And that is why we have problems with authority figures. We have problems in marriages. We have problems in relationships. We have problems in our business, in succeeding, in completing tasks. Yes, so that's a good question to ask. Why do we need approval from parents as children? And when we grow up, we rebel the same thing they taught us, for which we sought their approval. That's a brilliant question. I will be answering that question too. Yeah, but for child, their survival depends upon the approval of the parents. It's almost death-like to not get approval, love, attention from the parents. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then we'll go into what actually happens, that when we grow up, why are we reacting to the same things that we really wanted at that time? And that is why the name of this session is Heal the Relationship with Your Parents, because the impact it has on your life, on your success, on your growth, on your progress is humongous. Yes, Namrata, I think you have to move out of this asking this question, that how do we come out? Yeah, it's too early to answer that question. Yeah. And secondly, I will be talking about that a bit in some time. So we come back to our screen, and
Sir, I don't mean to interrupt your flow, but I just wanted to check, can we ask questions now, or will they be towards the end? Towards the end, okay.
I'll be having 15-20 minutes. That's why I'm just trying to complete it. Then I'll take
Sure. Over, back to you.
Thanks. So we have, this is called the life script, and this becomes your unconscious life plan. Yeah, whether you want it or don't want it, it becomes your unconscious life plan. And you see this lack of power, fear, helplessness, and the child's inability to handle the stress. The child's inability to handle the stress. Now, I'll just move a little from this to understanding transactional analysis. I've just taken a bit from transactional analysis, which I teach, and which is one of the most powerful workshops that I ever learned and taught. Yeah, this brings in like a 360-degree transformation in people's lives. This is what I have seen. And there are some certain elements of the script, because I was just wondering what to put, but I wanted to put exactly what is there over there. So remember, as we grow up, there are certain things that we want to do, and in our way, in the same childlike way. But if you notice, there are don't messages. Don't do that, don't touch that, don't go there, don't do this, you will break, don't move from here, stop listening to what we are saying, you do your own job. And these are called don't messages, which are called in transactional analysis language, these are called injunctions or punishment statements, punitive statements, put down statements. And there are second, which is called drivers, which drive you. And these are called do messages. So you get don't messages and you get do messages. What are do messages? Do messages means this is how you do it. And like, if you study hard, you will succeed. Work hard to succeed. Again, try more and try till you succeed. So these are all do messages. And if you notice, instead of try hard or try till you succeed is not understood very well. But try stays in us, and we are only trying. And we think that's the success formula. But even at the age of 60, 70, we are only trying to do something or achieve something. But somehow there's a dissatisfaction, there's a lack of fulfillment, or there's a lack of achievement itself. And that's like trying to do something. And most of us are caught up in this trap of the do messages. And many a times the do and the don'ts are opposites. Like they tell you to not do something, at the same time they tell you to do something, and they are contradictory to each other, or they stand opposite. That's why you are trying to do something, but there's opposite message of don't do it. And that's the struggle. Yeah. And these are early decisions in life. And generally, they have non-productive feelings and non-productive behaviors. What do you mean by non-productive feelings and non-productive behaviors? These are the behaviors which doesn't give you any result. Like the child wants a toy, or you want something, you want to achieve something. But instead of going after it, you're just wandering, you're just getting depressed, you're feeling low, or you're screaming at someone. But all that is a non-productive behavior. And you feeling sad, you feeling angry, upset. These are non-productive feelings unless they are necessary. Like you got to get angry in a particular situation, you got angry, you got a result. But if you are not getting it, then it becomes a very unproductive behavior and unproductive feeling. Same way, many of us, we want to, like many men, when they feel sad, you know what they do? They suppress the sadness and they get angry. That's a non-productive feeling, because the other person doesn't get it, because the opposite person starts wondering what happened and why are you getting so angry about it. And many women, instead of getting angry, they become sad, they become helpless and cry. Are you getting me? So this can happen in many of them, that you can be sad and you show anger, or you are angry and you show sadness. And this can switch in genders, yeah? So, but then I'm just giving an example that this is what generally it's been told. And that's why men find it difficult to handle sadness, and it's difficult to handle anger. And it's expressed. Nowadays, it's quite big, because more and more people are willing to express with ease. Yeah, things are changing. But basically, it is like that. And there are dishonest transactions. There's a lot of manipulation happening. And these are called games. And once you start understanding games, you can actually make a huge change. Like I could change my own life and my relationships around me, especially when I started understanding games very well. And then how do you live out this program? How do you live out this decision? This is called a program. So these are certain things that we understood when we are learning transaction analysis, and that is what makes us script. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Now, this is something that we got to understand, which I've taken from transaction analysis. So, why do we not like it? Like someone was asking this question that in childhood you wanted the approval, but you go against it as you are growing up. So, if you can understand this, like we have two parts in us, three parts in us. One is called the parent, second is the child, and third is the adult. Now, the parent is again two parts. One is called the nurturing parent and the critical parent. Go back in your own life and check. One of them is very nurturing, or it could not, may not be the parent, it could be an uncle, auntie, or it could be an elder brother, sister, who's very caring, very nurturing, very giving, very loving, encouraging. That's called a nurturing parent. And the critical parent is the one which criticizes, puts you down, beats you up, abuses, or has you have seen that the person is doing that with others. That's a critical parent. So just check in your own field who was a critical parent, or who you perceive as a critical parent, and who you perceive as a nurturing parent. Now, it could be that both the parents are critical, or both the parents are nurturing also. Yeah. So just if you want to write it down, you can write it down like CP, father, F, NP, F, M, mother, father, uncle, auntie, anything you can write it down. If you wish to, you can write down. Yeah. The second is the child. The child is you. Now, there are two types of children when it's the same child. One is the free child that we are born, happy, joyful, laughing. You see all the children, they are so happy, and that's a free child. They just do anything, they sing anytime, they suddenly dance, they fall, jump into water and all that, which we are not doing now. And the other one which adapts to the parent's behavior, that is called the adapted child. Now, that child, let me check if I have got the other video. Yeah. Now, if the parent is very critical and the child perceives that parent as critical, then the child will become mostly a rebellious child, right? Or the child can become very submissive child. That is called the compliant child. If the child perceives the parent as nurturing, then the child will become more free child. And that's why you'll see some people are, I won't say childlike, but they have the childlike quality in them. And it can also happen that there could be critical, but they have seen someone who's nurturing, or they got that, or they maintained that. So they could have that childlike quality within them. Yeah, free childlike quality, singing, or they learned somehow to maintain that. But there could be mostly, this is what is happening. Yeah, adapted child. And let me check. Yeah. Now, so now let me also explain to you what really happens, why these problems in relationship that we have. Why do we have so much of conflicts in relationship? That was the question that someone asked. Why is it happening? And now I'm going to also talk about why are there breakdowns in our lives. Now remember, everything that is happening is like a conflict in emotions, because everything that is happening out there creates a sense of creates some kind of emotion within us. Can we have a mixture of both? Yes, you can have a mixture of both. That's what I said. It can be a mixture of both. Yeah. Now the conflicts in emotions, why do we have it? So anything that happens, remember that small child is responding only from feelings, because the child doesn't have logic. The child doesn't have any thinking. The thinking starts developing later. But in the mother's womb, and immediately when the child is born, and for more than a year, the child is more overreacting to feelings. That's why even a newborn child, few days, someone comes closer, the child starts crying, or the child just looks and smiles. That's only because of feels okay. That's only because they're reacting or responding from feelings. They don't have any logic to it. Okay. So now, when they are reacting with their parents and way the parents behave, it is creating an emotion.
And at that age, the child cannot make sense of them because the logical thinking is not developed. That only develops much later in life. Remember, most of the times I've been asked this question, but then why are this, if they don't think, then why, how come they are giving words to it? They don't give words. We add the words to that unconscious experience. We are giving a name at much later age in life when we start learning the words. Then we call it sadness, we call it fear, we call it anger, or whatever names we call it, or anything other than that. We are only giving names much later. Yes, can we be mixture of both the adapted child? Yes, we can be. Yeah, in different, like with friends, we are many a times, most of us are free child. Yeah, so like that. And in many occasions when you're going to work, or which is a very, very important thing, adapted child is a very important thing. You need it in your life. Yeah, you got to, you have it, like you're going, it's a discipline that you maintain, that is coming from an adapted child. Yeah, for a free child it will all be naughtiness and all, so that doesn't work 100% every time. So in different occasions, like right now you're all listening to me, I am talking in a particular, that's all a adapted child behavior. But at the same time, there could be a point where I would start laughing and all that. That could be a free child within me. I would start singing, or someone would start giggling or singing, or so that can all happen. That's the free child that may come up. Yeah. So now there are these two sides. There is this so many emotions that are coming in, and why do we have problems with the parents? Yeah. And why is it that even though there is a lot of negative emotion, why is it that we are struggling within ourselves or have this conflict in emotions? We all are carrying this emotional baggage, but why are we, whatever we call as the emotional baggage, why are we not able to release them? Why are we not able to just heal them? Why are we not able to get rid of them? And why can't we just have a very clear-cut relationship with the parent? Like, we have grown up, and then why is it that we are struggling still to manage our own emotion? The reason is that the very person whom you love, because parents, whatever said and done, the child is looking out for love, attention, approval. You can see that. But the pain is also received from the same person, the parent. Yeah. The abuse that is received from the parent. So we have this conflicts. It's almost like a pull and push phenomena. Like you are holding the person, like for dance, and you're pushing one hand of the person and pulling another hand, and you're doing this. So you don't know whether the person is pulling you close or trying to push you away. And that is what happens with most of the parents, because the parent is giving you all the love, is providing everything to you, but at the same time, they are also showing a nasty side to you. And for the child, this is quite surprising, and they're just wondering, how can that happen? Because this is the person who's supposed to take care of me, but this same person is treating me in this shabby manner. So that is what is the conflict in the child's mind. There is the one who gives them pleasure is the same one who gives them pain. And the mind works on a pain and pleasure principle, right? We always go after pleasure and we try to go away from pain, avoid pain. Look at everything in your life. If you're taking a decision, you take decisions based on, will this be good for me or will this be bad for me? So again, it's pain and pleasure. But here the problem is the person who's giving the pleasure is the same person who's also providing causing pain. Yeah. And now let's go a bit ahead. Hope this is quite clear to each one of you. Yeah, I'm going quickly so that I can take questions. Yeah, but I've made it, everything I put it in a nutshell so that a lot of it can be given in short period. Now, for this, Again, this pain and pleasure thing, suppose, and this is all stored within us. So there are parts within us which are going for something, but there are parts within us which are resisting it. There are parts within us which are growing, which are going for something, and there are parts within us which are resisting. And that is where the self-sabotage mechanism starts. Right? So you want to go for something, but there's a part of you which pulls you back. So you might do a lot, but in the end, it will break down. Or you are marrying the person whom you love, but with the same person, the struggle starts. Now, why does that happen? How many of you would be interested in knowing this about marriage? Like it could be your own marriage, or you're seeing this, that you have this, you are getting married to the person whom you love. Yeah, and that's the reason you got married, or you are in connection with them, having the friendship. But with the very person, you are having such a strugglesome relationship. You have started your own work, your own business, and or you have taken up a job, but in a very short period, you have a lot of problems developing over there. Yes, I can understand that these are challenges, but if it is happening like a pattern again and again and again and again, then your subconscious mind, your unconscious is wanting you to learn something, to understand something. And that is about what's happening within. Now, the same way, when the pain and pleasure principle, the same thing is about you're going for something, but there's a part of you which is resisting it. Right? There's a part of you which is going for something, but there's a part of you which is resisting it. And that's why the conflict, even when you're taking something or doing something which, getting married to a person whom you love. Now, why do you have problems in your marriage? It's quite simple. Many of them. This is, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but this is what I've seen with many of them. Many a times, if you notice the kind of relationship that you have seen your parents having, the kind of relationship you see your parents having is generally the kind of relationship you create in your own marriage. Unless you're very conscious about it and you make a conscious shift to the kind of relationship, towards the kind of relationship that you really want. So you might have the worst relationship with your parents, or you might have seen your parents having a very horrible relationship, but there is a possibility that you will consciously, deliberately, with conscious efforts, start building up a marriage which is very happy, harmonious and joyful. That is possible. But many a times you're only leaving out that relationship. Why? The reason is because the image of your parents, the perceived image of your parents, remember, that's not the true parent, that's a perceived image. That's why in the same family, one child can have a very healthy, positive image of the parent, and though they have gone through the same thing, and other might have a very negative image. And this is, and that depending upon that, you will start living out your life. And then if you're conscious enough, you'll say, oh, I have this negativity, but I want to let go of it. Like if you know the story of that person who's of the twin brothers, whose father was an alcoholic, an abusive person and all that. And one of the children, he turns out to be like a good for nothing. He doesn't do anything in life. He's always in taking up loans and always having debts in his life. And his children also don't do anything. And his brother, twin brother, grows and progresses, does great business, has studied very well educated. His children are also getting educated. He's earning a lot of money. He's progressing very well. And when they were asked, what is the reason that you have never progressed in your life? And that son says, it's because of my father, because he was an alcoholic and abuser. And the other one says, because of my father, because he was an alcoholic and abuser and never did anything good in life, I decided never to be like him. And the other one says, I became like him. So it is all perception. Remember why I'm saying this, because it's inside us. And definitely if it's inside us, we can do something about it. Right? So now this image that we are carrying, we are fighting it. And this is what I tell my students and my clients. If you're fighting an image within yourself, or you're fighting that experience within yourself, who's going to get hurt? Think about it. Who's going to get hurt? Yourself. And that is how you self-sabotage the very thing that you enjoyed: your marriage, your business, your work, your happiness, your health. It's like you going against your own self. And that is what most of us do. And remember, this is unconscious. What you are aware of is that I'm doing something wrong. I am making mistakes, but I don't know what is the root cause. The root cause is that experience of that, the experience and the emotions that you're carrying in relationship with your parents right in childhood. And that's why it doesn't make sense for most of them. I've had people whom I have worked with, and they have become so, they reacted so badly. They're saying, oh, this is not true. What you're saying is not true. What you're working on is not right. Till the time they understand, and many of them have come back after a year or two saying that, now it makes sense what you said that day, but I was not ready to accept that day. And after that, we have worked upon it, and within a short period of 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 5 sessions, they suddenly have had major breakthroughs in their life. Major breakthroughs, not just in the way they think. Remember, the breakthrough has to happen not just in the thinking and the perception, but it has to happen even in social interaction, in businesses, in the marriages, in their relationships. Then only I call this therapy as successful. And this is what I have seen in many people happening, the shift happening in them, right? So now, when this people, so it is, that is how the self-sabotage mechanism happens. You are going against your own self, and you carry whatever image, you recreate it. There is a compulsion to repeat the same thing, and somehow we create it. And that is what many of the couples, they don't get. What happened to the relationship? Everything was going on fine, and suddenly what changed? Nothing, but the relationship that you have seen the parents or parental figures having, you just recreate the same thing, or you replay the same thing, right? We are going to come to that. Yeah. Now remember, this is something that I like to say to people. The reactive behaviors are to the perceived image, but the consequences are borne by yourself. So remember this, you are the one who's going to pay the consequences. You are the one, your family is the one who's going to pay the consequences. But the reactive behaviors is inside. That's why it's like you are going against your own self, and that's the biggest self-sabotage. Yeah, what does one do it? So there are 2 ways of doing it. One is acting out and acting in. You either rebel or you suppress. When you rebel, you can see some people, they get into violence, they get abusive, they get reactive, they also show sickness. But smoking and all those things. And in suppression, you have self-sabotage, you have sicknesses. Now, there are some people who can act out, but they do it healthily. Like they get into martial arts, they get into boxing, or they get into certain sports, and they will act out their whole rebellion nature over there. But that's more acceptable, right? So this is what happens. We are either acting out or we are acting in. Now, the role of emotions, very quickly I'll go through it. Now remember, these emotions are very unconscious, they are reactive, they are impulsive, they are repetitive behaviors, and they're triggered by situation. And they're basically, there's a fear and anger cycle. You get scared because the threat is there right from childhood. You get angry, and that's why you react, and then you get scared, and this goes on, and then you have consequences. Now remember, these are all subconscious. That's what I have written, unconscious. And the unconscious is 90%. And everything, beliefs, emotions, habits, they're all unconscious. And you are trying to change it with something that is 10% of it, or that is not as powerful as the subconscious. Remember this. And you cannot mostly change it with logical thinking. And if you're trying to, then you are building up a strong defensive mechanism. Like I've seen people who are very having lots of problems in childhood, but they turn out to be very nice people. And they, like people say, they're very good to talk to, or they are very controlled. Now, what they are trying to control is their internal conflicts. And that is why the person is quiet, calm, but suddenly has a heart attack. Or the person is quiet, calm, but suddenly has an outrage once in a year or 2 years, like we have heard of that story. That person is very quiet, and suddenly the person gets very angry and actually murders the other person. Because that struggle was always there, and there was a point when it just came out. So this is how it is. The subconscious plays out. So if you can deal with those emotions by healing the relationship that we have with our parents, that would be very, very beneficial. Yeah. How to heal? Someone was asking this, right? So before this, let me take up any questions that you have so that I can take up this part, and I want to do a small exercise with you all. I'll just stop this sharing. Yes, friends. You can put it on the group, on the chat. Or you can ask, shout out. If there are any questions till now, please ask. You can open your mics, ask, or you can put it on the chat. There could be a number of beliefs or negative thinking by that we might be carrying. Isn't it very difficult to just find them? Consciously, Rachna, yes. It is very difficult to find them. Yes. That's why people need support. Yeah. Otherwise, that is where mindfulness, awareness becomes a very important thing. It's not easy because we are only reacting. Most of the times we are only reacting. Okay, so we are not even thinking about it. We are not even paying attention. And when I teach core somatic integration, the first thing that is taught, and every time, and that's the only thing I think people learn, is how to get present to your thinking, your feelings, what's happening. Yeah. Does that clear? Could you explain the self-sabotage bit again? Yes. So it is very simple, Gunjal. Basically, we have emotions, we have our decisions, which is coming from the kind of past that we had. And generally, there's a lot of anger. There is a lot of anger towards the person or the persons or the parents. Now, the image that you are angry with, that is about of the parent, is within you. The anger is also within you. Now, if you're holding on to that anger and that image is also within you, and if you are reacting to that image in anger, whom are you reacting against? Your own self. And that is where there will be breakdown happening. Hope that is clear. And that is how the self-sabotage mechanism continues. You will keep having breakdown patterns in your life. Is that clear?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Since we hold emotions in our body and can feel it, how do we release those emotions and that charge? Yeah, that is what is generally being learned in transactional analysis workshop and also the core somatic integration. But I'm going to do a small bit of it. Remember, this webinars, it's difficult to do it, and I don't do too much of it because sometimes people come back saying that there are a lot of reactions, so we can't handle that. But then definitely I'll do something about it. When there's a little bit on that. When parents are neither critical nor loving, but still the child is rebellious, why is you? So Preeti, one thing is that You cannot say whether the parents are critical or not loving. The child has to mention that. Okay, and secondly, if you're asking the child may not know the meaning of it till the time we start growing. Yeah, so the parent will always say, "हम लोग तो अच्छा से ही बात करते हैं." You have to ask the child. Like I had this mother who came and said, "Oh, I just asked my son, why did you do that?" I said, "Wow, that's a very nice way of talking." And the son comes in the next day to my clinic and says, "My mother's gone crazy. She banged the door, she banged her head on the wall, and she was so angry and she was screaming away." Now, for the mother, it is like, I just asked him, "Why are you doing that?" But she didn't tell me all those things. So, parents always believe that we are doing the right thing because, according to them, they're coming from love and concern. And they think, "Itna to chillaye to kuch nahi hota," because for them, it's a very natural habit. You have to ask the child what is the meaning or what is the experience that they are having. The child will tell. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, just a minute. Just a minute. I have observed that I tend to behave like one of the parents. Obviously, that is what you do. We generally pick up and become like our parents. Are you getting me? Because we see the parents as very powerful. And what is the best way to be that powerful is to become like them. That's why you'll see many children who have violent parents, they will also become violent or angry because they believe that that's where the power is. And what is the best way to have the power? To become like them, and they become like that. Why is that so? But still the child is rebellious. Okay, that is another question. And sometimes like my father, and sometimes, yeah, but that is what I said. You pick up the child picks up the nature of the parents, yeah, or you'll get married to one of the people like that. Since we hold the emotions in our bodies, and how can we release that, we are going to learn. I have observed I tend to behave like one of the parents. That is also gone. Okay, so true. Okay, yeah, someone was asking a question.
Yes, I wanted to ask you a question.
Can I know your name, please?
Swati. I was in your hypnosis class. In fact, the thing is that I agree 100% with whatever you say. I've been a very self-aware person. I've done a lot of sort of introspection over the years,
Yes,
and whatever you're saying, absolutely correct. I have this really complicated relationship with my mother, and in spite of sort of going deep within myself, even using hypnosis to sort of heal it, uh, consciously sort of knowing that whatever happened was for whatever circumstances, nothing major happened. I don't have any recollection of any major event. It must have been, like you said, the perception of the child at that time, whatever I was. But in spite of any amount of conscious efforts to heal that relationship, I don't see any progress in that. So what is it that we can do in that case?
So see, basically many a times I have seen that it is for many of them who are trying to work it on themselves, it becomes a bit difficult if you are working on yourself. Yeah. We might be very educated, we might be psychologists, counselors, therapists, but working with your own self, it is a bit difficult because that kind of conscious awareness cannot be maintained. Are you getting me? Because it is so subtle, so unconscious that it just slips through first. And even when you are working with someone else, that's the second part. Maybe you have worked with someone else. Remember, knowledge doesn't mean that you heal. Knowledge is knowledge, and these are all information. That doesn't mean that you heal. Just because we are reading up books, just because you have read up all the medical books, the surgeon can't operate on oneself. Not possible. Same thing applies to psychologists, because many of them say, "Oh, but I'm a psychologist." Doesn't matter. Are you getting me? Just because you're a historian doesn't mean you'll change history. You cannot. Yeah. So secondly, the part is about, it's a subconscious thing. Even when you are going to a therapist or whatever, this is what I have seen. You may not be able to get a breakthrough because you're not working on the real issue, because it could just be so deep. Or you're just not touching upon the surface, because the subconscious can resist. And even the therapist, though you're working on the surface, it's like you're cleaning the surface, and you might put perfume and all, everything is great, but the dead rat is still there somewhere, and you're not able to see it because it's just got concealed somewhere, and you can still smell the stink. Are we getting it? So it could be somewhere very deep, and that is one of the reasons I tell my clients, give me time. Don't just expect that I'll do it in one session, two sessions. I've had cases where we have had breakthroughs even in one session. 20 years, not met the parents, not looked at their faces. One session, gone back and met the parents. And this is just one of cases. I have hundreds of cases like this. And this is what happens. We have to, and this for everyone, we have to connect or heal that unconscious part, which might even resist. It might even resist the therapy. Or it can be covered up so beautifully that the person might talk very nicely, but the inner thing will not be able to come out. So that's why sometimes it's more than one. Are you getting me?
So what are the tools? Are there any tools to,
There
you
are
know,
lots of
I
tools.
mean, yeah, I mean, of
There are
course,
lots
like,
of, there are a lot of tools. Like, see, remember the tools and techniques are not very so important. Like you can say hypnotherapy and all that, but it's going to the core. Like I teach hypnotherapy, I do core somatic integration, transactional analysis, and I found very, very powerful. Yeah, but what is more powerful is you going to that part and clearing up that part. It doesn't matter what is the technique that you use, because these are all names of techniques. That's what I said. Just because you're a hypnotherapist or you're a psychologist doesn't mean that you have the power to heal. So that is where a very good experience also is very, very important. And understanding the person, and the person also, the client also being very willing to allow, because I've seen people, even today I was seeing someone, the body and the mind can resist getting healed. Are you getting me? So if you have a hook out there and there's a part of you, that small part of you says, because you still are wanting to react to the parent, you say, छोड़ेगा नहीं, not realizing वो छोड़ने का नहीं, वो तो चला भी गया. पहला father भी गुजर गया, mother भी गुजर गया, लेकिन I am still holding on to it because the subconscious is like a small child, like that monkey which puts the hand for the banana, gets the banana from in the bottle, pulls it out, but doesn't let go of the hand, open the hand so that he can remove the hand, and then gets trapped and gets killed. And that is how we are. We don't let go of it. And when you don't let go, you stay trapped over there. Does that answer your question?
yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
So it is not easy to it is not possible to self-heal. I'm not saying it's not possible. I am saying sometimes it becomes tough because you can't keep that conscious awareness. That's where most of the people who have done core somatic integration, the therapy that I teach, they have said that they could find major changes happening in them only because they're becoming the practices of self-awareness. And there's a particular method to be aware. Knowledge or information and books will not give you that. It's only experiential.
Dr. Naidu, thank you.
Yeah,
Can I take the next question?
Yes, Sahil, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naidu. I must say this was my first introduction to you, and I was completely glued on. In fact, it's on Zoom, but I was just wishing if this was in person. Many of us subconsciously would have got hypnotized by your intelligence and your experience. I have two questions for you, sir.
Thank you.
My first question is a very, very simple one. Maybe you want to answer that second. Is, as a person, I get bored very easily. So how do I combat that? And the second question is the whole Palvol's experiment of the dog salivating whenever the bell is rung. Now, drawing an analogy to my personal life, when I'm outside the house and I'm traveling for work or otherwise, I'm extremely happy. My energy levels are very high. But when I come back home, this perception in my head that, oh, this is a jail, really pulls me down. Now, I'm conscious of the fact that this is the Palvol's experiment and maybe there are experiences to do that. But how do I break away from that moment? How do I consciously break away to say this is not jail? So two questions, sir. I know there is paucity of time, but would love to hear your views.
Yeah. So So I don't know how well I can answer that. So remember, I'm going to go through it. First of all, you have to get that this is just a perception.
Yeah.
This is what I teach in Core Somatic. There's nothing to break. There's nothing to change. If you want to change something, then you got to be with it for a longer period. The more you try to change something, the more you try to fix something, the more it will stay the same. Are you getting me? But with that
Absolutely.
perception, there's a lot of background to it.
Yeah. Deep rooted.
Deep rooted. So when you stay with it, all that background will come up. But we want to avoid the background, so we'll definitely keep the perception.
Right.
So when you're allowing yourself to go through that whole experience of the pain of confronting that background story, you will start seeing that you will be able to break that perception. Does that make sense?
Absolutely with you.
It's only being with what is and allowing what is will allow you to have a breakthrough. The more you try to change something, the more it will stay.
Right.
The more you be with it, the more it will transform.
But every time I attempt a breakthrough, I have a deeper breakdown. And maybe it's an offline conversation I would love to have with you.
But that is how it's going to be.
Got
Because
it.
in every breakdown, there's a breakthrough. In every breakthrough, there's a next breakdown coming in.
Got it. And what about the question on feeling bored?
It is the same thing. It could be somewhere related because that's called the passive behavior or the unproductive behavior that we have. Are you getting that? Is also picked up right in childhood because that's the way that's unproductive behavior. So once you start releasing, and that also has an emotion behind it. Once you release that, then it becomes a productive behavior. That's how the changes happen.
So when we go back to childhood and understand why an individual gets bored and solve for it back there is when the behavior manifests itself very differently today. Is that what you're saying? Do I understand you right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. And so this is how it is. So I had this person who had come to me and he says, I cannot feel anything. Because he was told by some doctor that you are not able to feel anything. So you have some disease called anhedonia. I said, I don't see that, first of all. And this guy was failing in his exams in engineering and he was on substance and all that. And as we started working, it was very simple that when I asked him, who else does this? And his father is never a person who ever speaks. And he's never connecting to him. And the father gets concerned. So what is the best way to get attention? Do something that is going to hurt that person. And that is what most of us do with our parents. To get their attention. We hurt ourselves because that's the thing that's going to hurt a parent. To hurt ourselves. And we don't realize in hurting ourselves, we are the ones who are going to pay the consequences. Okay? What do we do if we feel numb constantly but aren't depressed? Just consciously numb unendingly. Now we got to, Anna, this is a very deep question because when we are talking about numbness, then we are talking about traumas also. Okay, because numbness cannot happen just like that. So we have the fight, flight, and the freeze mechanism. And the third mechanism, which actually makes you numb, is the freeze mechanism. Unless the word numb itself is used with some other connotation. Okay, so we got to look at that. What is the meaning of numb? Okay, any other questions? Anyone else? Okay, so very quickly, we have another 15 minutes. I'm going to share. Okay. So inability to feel joy when there is a reason or given outer circumstances. See, we all have a particular way of behaving. Yeah. And like there are people who are in a very joyful environment will not smile also. But that is how they have, what do you call it? They have created themselves. Okay, they have practiced, I would say, they have trained themselves in that habit. And now, whenever they see such a situation like very joyful, still they may not be doing it. I don't know the reason what is there. Yeah, so I don't know if there's a reason and it's not happening, then some other mechanisms or some other uh, uh, experiences might be getting triggered off. Yeah. So there are times when we have opposite emotion. There are many people, it's a very joyful environment. You must have seen this. Yeah, all of you. Marriage occasions, and they start fighting exactly during these joyful occasions. The whole family starts fighting because for them, they don't know how to be happy in a joyful occasion, but they know how to spoil it or how to create ruckus or how to create problems. So this is how it gets very unconsciously triggered off. So we'll have to again look at what could be the connection, the association. Yeah, so the word is the association, how, what we have associated it with, right? And now remember, this is all childhood stories, so we cannot just make out just through. Okay, yeah, yeah, I know. Great. And now I want you to any other questions, or shall we go ahead? I've just made a small note for you all, like people have been asking, how do we heal that? So I just made that also for you all. So this is where we are. Yeah. So I've just created, remember it's a perceived image. So I created this 5 steps, and this one of the 2 or 3 of the steps are there in core somatic integration. And even I train people, when I train people in transaction analysis, I teach them this, how to do it. These are just words over here, but there's a particular way to acknowledge. Yeah, I've just given the word acknowledgement because it's easier to understand, but there's particular way to understand this or or experience it or practice this. Willingness. Yeah, this is, if a person, why, like someone was asking, like Swati was asking, okay, why not? Maybe there's a part of us which is not willing still. Yeah, it's a very hurt, a part which is very hurt, which is going through some kind of sadness and grief and unable to give it up. So we got to deal with that. So that could be the resistant part. Third is responsibility. I give it the highest importance, that if you got to be responsible, that this is your feelings, this is your issue, and you are the one who's creating it, or the consequence, you are the one who's bearing the consequences. And it's your behavior, doesn't matter. Like I had this 30-year-old coming and attending my workshop, and she was screaming away in the class when I said something. She was screaming. She's saying, what is my fault that at the age of 4 I was abused? What do I do about that? Why can't you understand? I said, I got it, that you were abused at the age of 4 and you were not responsible for it. But at the age of 30, the way you are behaving and spoiling your own life, who will take responsibility of that? We can't keep blaming the past and the people from the past for what's happening to us. And for that, the first step is taking responsibility that this is my life. These are my emotions. These are my feelings. This is my struggle. This is my pain. And it doesn't matter where it came from, but I am willing to take responsibility. And that is the first step to a change. And then, though this could open up a can of worms, the word forgiveness. Yeah. And as I practice forgiveness and as I train people in forgiveness, I have seen transformations happening overnight. Overnight is like still a long time. It's just like this in an instant. And I have developed my own way of training people in forgiveness, which has become very, very, very effective. And the last part is practice. You keep practicing practicing, 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 practicing. Many of them say, why me? Why should I do it? Because someone else is the problem. My husband is a problem in the marriage. My wife is a problem in the marriage because of my parents. Now, it doesn't matter who's the problem and who created it. The question to ask is, who's paying the price? Who's losing on happiness, harmony, health, and joy? And that is what we got to take responsibility about. Doesn't matter who did it, but I am the one who's carrying the image. I am the one who's perceiving it as negative. I am the one who's being troubled. And I got to take responsibility of my life being harmonious, healthy, joyful, peaceful, relaxed, successful, prosperous, powerful, full of freedom and joy. So just check, am I willing to do that? Right? So now I will just take one more step ahead because I also want to talk about the workshop. Yeah. So just in case people are interested, yeah, I will also do a little bit of forgiveness exercise right now. Someone is asking it. So I will do that. I think it's Anna. And I'm going to talk about the transactional analysis workshop right now, which is called the personal mastery using transactional analysis. Now, healing the subconscious is the best way out. Now, you look at that person in the maze, and it's a very straight line, but you'll have to work on the deepest innermost part, that is the subconscious mind. And there's some of the ways that I have found, which is very, very helpful, is transactional analysis, hypnotherapy, and past life regression therapy. And as I said, it's all everything is a name. It is not the name. It is how much willing are you as a client, and how we understand the issue and deal with that issue. And of course, I teach people Tai Chi and Qigong, which has become a part of my whole integrative program to heal and to become aware and mindful. So last month we did 3 classes, and today we started the 2nd level. So this is Tai Chi and Qigong, where we are connecting and becoming very, very aware. Yeah, and there could be some testimonials coming very soon. You can also check that. Yeah. So friends, for the program details, I would like to share this transactional analysis, which is a 360-degree transformation. This is called personal mastery using transactional analysis. The dates are 14th July to 21st July. There is no class on Sunday. I think it's starting on Wednesday and ending on Wednesday. And timings are 5:30 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. And now the regular fees is $13,000, but there's an early bird discount before 5th June. Yeah. And for the first 10 participants before 5th June, it is 7,500. And after that, it is 9,500. So anyone who's interested can pay up a 500 or 1,000 rupees and register oneself. We already have certain number of people who have already joined. So there are few seats left. If you're interested, please join in. Yeah. And any questions on this, please, you want to ask, you can ask. Yeah. And then I'll take the forgiveness exercise also. Yeah, any questions?
What kind of tools are in transactional analysis? Is related to hypnotherapy?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all, not at all. It is, there are a lot of questionnaires and all, like there are people who have done it, and I am not sure if there's someone who's there over here who's done it and would like to share. Anyone who's done transactional analysis with me and would like to share?
Yes, sir, I have done. Manju here.
Yeah, Manju, would you like to share what was the experience?
So the experience was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I realized, of course, there was a lot of awareness of what ever happened in my life too. And how the blame game was there, and how I perceived my parents, how I was behaving like a child, how do I behave like an adult, and there is a magic when you behave like an adult.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is what I feel. Like we don't behave with age.
Yeah, it doesn't come with age.
That.
So what is that one small change, in which areas of life you found that change happening?
The biggest transformation was with my husband.
Awesome. Tell me.
And everyone around in the family, of course.
Yes, yes.
It has
That was the big
getting
one.
better.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
So which is better? Yeah. Thank you, Manju. Anyone else would like to share? I think Mugdha is there. Hiral is there. Who else is there over here?
Hello, sir.
Ah,
Mugda here.
hey Mugdha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Wonderful. Tell me.
So, sir, core somatic and TA, together helped me a lot
Yeah.
in my journey from coming from India to US, then
Yes.
settling here,
Hmm.
then healing myself at a lot of levels, attracting clients while, even staying here,
Wow.
changing a lot of perspectives and outlooks.
Yeah.
So both the courses, core somatic as well as TA,
Yeah.
has really helped me at a lot of levels to understand myself,
Yeah.
and even helps my clients, so
Yeah.
I can take better sessions.
Thank you. So it has
Yeah.
worked on your
Thank you, sir.
goals, achieving your goals. It has helped you achieve clients and also develop or increase your clientele. So you are finding success even in your work area.
Yes, sir.
है ना? And
Yes,
understanding.
sir.
Yeah, so Dr. Rajiv, Hiral here, even I've done transaction analysis with you.
Yeah, hi Hiral, long time.
Long time.
Yes.
So I did it quite some time back.
Yeah.
But yes, it helped me understand my own self
Yeah.
and the people around me and analyze, it basically helped me accept people the way they are, whether
Yes.
it's family or whether, it's colleagues. So behavior pattern and healing my own self is, what I achieved with this.
Thank you.
So
Thank
there
you.
is no question now in my mind of why do they behave like this. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
that's
Yeah.
very good. Thanks a lot, Hiral. Thanks a lot for coming and thanks a lot for sharing. Okay, so I think thanks a lot. Yeah, that's Hiral for you. Okay, so I think, friends, Anna, it answers your question. So my recommendation, she's asking whether it's transactional analysis or core somatic. I recommend both to people. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you take transactional analysis first or core somatic. So I am suggesting both all the time to every client, not because I am teaching it, but because they both transformed my life and continue to transform my life. Like big time. The kind of relationships I've created, the kind of success I've created for myself in my life, the kind of shifts I've developed in my own behaviors and in my attitude. That's like, even my friends keep saying that that's like a huge change that you have made. I haven't seen many people making this kind of change. So this is how it is, right? So friends, if you are interested, and you can also visit on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I think it's RAHJIVNAIDU. So you can always go there and check for more information. And also my number is there, 98208-00120. So just in case you got to connect, you want to know more about core somatic or something, or transactional analysis happening first. If anyone's interested, please join, contact me. Okay, 98208-00120. Okay, now very quickly I'll be talking about the forgiveness exercise. Yeah. So now I want you to just look at, and I am not guaranteeing anything about anything. Yeah, get this, because this is so short that, but I've seen huge changes happening even today in the morning when I work with someone. It just took us few minutes and the person said it's so calm within, though the person was so angry, had beaten up his own people and all that, but he said it is so calm and I don't feel any negativity, and it was just a matter of few minutes that everything changed. And that is what I have seen, and that is why I am coming up with new workshops called accelerated cures, because the cure rates are very fast and very effective also. Yeah. So you can keep your eyes open, you can keep your eyes closed, and look at any person. You might take up a parent with whom you have an issue. And now with that parent, just look at all the negative thoughts, negative perceptions, negative ideas that you have. And just say out in your mind, loudly in your mind, or you can say it out if your mics are closed. Just say this: I have been holding on to these negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, negative energies, negative ideas, negative experiences about you for the longest period. At all levels of my mind, body, and soul. And I have not even taken responsibility of it. Today, I wish to take responsibility of it. And I'm willing to take responsibility of it. Please forgive me for not being responsible. That these are my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my experiences. And I thank you for playing this instrument of change in my life. I thank you for that. Breathe in deep and breathe out. And slowly open your eyes and tell me, what do you see as a change? Yeah, anyone like to share?
So for me, sir,
Yeah, Gunjal.
I have anyway been like I've had lots of sessions with multiple healers, including you, over the years. So I've been working on my issues with my father. And today, when like I thought of him, it was very difficult for me to find issues. Like I was happy about that. That
Yeah.
suddenly I was not getting okay. ये भी है, ये भी है, ये भी है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं आ रहा था.
I get it.
और जो एक दो आए, even like after the session, like after this small session also, I'm not feeling anything. Means not that, I mean, now those negative feelings are not there at all. So what I'm actually glad about is that this session brought the awareness for me that I think I've probably healed those issues. Over the years, I've been complaining to my mother that nothing is happening. I've been healing, nothing is happening. And I think it has worked now.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Gunjal. And how do we check to see if anything has changed? You have to check your emotions, your feelings, your experiences and all that. Yeah. Thank you, Mugdha. That was amazing. Raman, thank you. Wonderful session. Thanks, Raman. Anyone else would like to share? One or two sharing I can take. Okay. Great. So anyone who wants to share about after this exercise, anything changed for you? Anything? Feeling relaxed. Okay. That's very good. Yeah, you can write it. Yeah, Nagaraj.
Good evening, Dr. Rajesh.
Good evening.
It was a very good session, and after your session, like I can keep on attending your sessions. And now my business is also growing. I had a lot of problems with me.
Yeah.
But as well, when I kept on attending the programs, and a lot of backlogs were cleared.
Dark clouds got cleared. Yeah.
Yes, cleared. And I'm just realized, just let go things now. I don't take it on my, I don't take it so heavily. Like previously, I used to be like burdened with things like how to get out of it.
Yes.
But in every session has changed me a lot, and I thank you for all these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Rajesh Kamble is writing, now I know who's responsible. Thank you, Rajesh. That's like a amazing thing. Thank you, Rajiv. And Savita writes, I could feel the pain coming down from my head. Yes, that is how you see the changes happening. Yes, Sarda, thanks a lot. Great. So friends, thanks a lot for being here and thanks for sharing. Thanks for allowing yourself to go through the session. Yeah. And if there's anything anyone wants to talk, or you can just, you have my number, you can just message me and then we can fix up a time to share if you want to talk or something, or you can just message me on my number. Or if people are interested in joining the transactional analysis workshop happening from 14 to 21st in the evening, you can message me again and then have a conversation with me. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Janvi. Bye, everyone. See you.